All right, it is still stop-and-go traffic west of Nashville trying to get to Nashville, 40 eastbound. You've got that crash blocking the right shoulder right there before Bellevue. And we've got some new details about what caused that crash and who police are looking for. New developments in the Riley Strain case. All this and more at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Mac, you missed the Take Aim at Climate Change video.
Dang it, what?
I went down a rabbit hole last night. I found a music video where they're indoctrinating kids. Ready? Here, cut that music for a second.
Pete, when glaciers melt, the ocean starts swelling, and then they flood the coast where the people be dwelling. You can say peace to Florida, New York, and California, all drowning in the ocean.
Don't say we didn't warn you.
So this is, okay, so NASA, we fund NASA with our tax dollars. NASA funds this project. It goes to a third party called cleanet.org. They put this in schools.
Wow.
In the resources, it says that the information in the song hasn't been vetted by scientists. It says that the slides haven't been vetted by the scientists. One of the slides in the video says fact, nature was imbalanced. We messed that up. And it's going into grade schools. 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th is who they're aiming this at.
Wow.
Don't say we didn't warn you.
I went down a rabbit hole.
That's unlike you.
No, my wife was like, Virginia's like, you're not going to use this on the air. I was like, oh, I am. I am. You know, we have those conversations. We have those conversations where she's like, you're just watching a guy get hit by a train. Like, that's not show prep. I'm like, yeah, it is.
No, it is, really.
It is. Wes in the borough wants to talk about indoctrination. What's up, Wes?
Hey, thank you for taking my call. Not only your little rap song there, not only are they teaching us bad information, but they're also teaching bad grammar. But I sat in a class years ago up in Springfield, Tennessee. It was the day before Christmas, half day. Teachers didn't really want to teach, so the teacher logged onto a website and it talked about cultures of Christmas culture around the world. It talked about in England and France, Violet Pierre, Noel, and everything was pretty much factual until it got to Belgium. And this video said Belgium was behind the Iron Curtain, so they have not been allowed to celebrate Christmas. And I looked at you, hold on a second. I said, Belgium is on our side of the wall. This is back when the wall was up. You know, I said, it's on our side of the wall, and it's the headquarters of a NATO and the European Common Market. And the teacher basically blew it off like, well, we have to teach this.
Yeah, and this is what blows my mind about this stuff is like lazy teachers are just going to push this as gospel.
Yeah, and it was like, you may be right, let's look into it. No, I have to teach this. Even though a person right there knew for a fact and had my facts in a row, she wasn't going to, say, yeah, you're right, let's not teach that part. Anyway, thank you very much.
Hey, I appreciate it. And it's like Wes comes in and makes it even gloomier. He's like, hey, it's been happening a lot longer. Thanks, Wes. Thanks, Wes. No, I'm just kidding. I went to public school. I know about acid rain and melting ice caps.
Oh, yeah.
It's 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. After Ken Weaver's newscast, Senator Haggerty is going to be joining the show, so hang out with us.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Right now, new developments in the Riley Strain case. Channel 4 says the toxicology report is complete, but it will not be made public until the autopsy is complete, and there's no timeline for that. Strain's body was found in the Cumberland River 2 weeks after he disappeared from a night on Lower Broad with his fraternity. We're learning more about what prompted I-40's closure near Bellevue this morning. Channel 4 says a semi hauling flour overturned after crashing with a pickup truck. Then the pickup truck driver ran away. Now the search is on for that driver. And a Metro police officer has been fired after the chief learned the officer took part in adult content creators OnlyFans video. The woman who's identified as Jordan. News Channel 5 says it shows what appears to be a police officer groping the woman at a fake traffic stop. News Channel 5 says that officer Sean Herman had been on the force since 2021. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
from Brooklyn, New York, we have a diaspora that can absorb a significant number of these migrants. And when I hear colleagues talk about, the doors of the inn being closed, no room in the inn, I'm saying, I need more people in my district, but just for redistricting purposes.
That was a New York congresswoman saying the quiet part out loud. Bring in the illegal aliens because, we could use them in the head count, which led to our own Senator Bill Hagerty saying, yeah, hard pass. Joining us now on the Supertalk 99.7 WTN hotline is Senator Hagerty to talk about this legislation. What's up, Senator Hagerty?
Well, you played it. As you said, she said the quiet part out loud. I think the interesting thing for some of our listeners today is that this congresswoman is from Brooklyn, the exact same district where James Madison High School is located. If you recall, that was the high school where the children were told last fall to go home and study by Zoom because they needed their high school to house illegal aliens. Yes, that's right. She's moving illegal aliens in, taking kids out of the high school, preferencing them over the students and children of her district because she needs them so she doesn't lose her district. This is exactly the same high school that Chuck Schumer attended. This is Chuck Schumer's old congressional district. It's just beyond rich to hear this going on. And then the Democrats kept saying, when I would raise this, I've been doing it for over 2 years, it's just a conspiracy theory. Well, we got them on the record.
Yep.
I put forward legislation that would force the halting of this practice of counting illegal aliens in the census for the purpose of apportioning congressional districts and therefore electoral votes. Every single Democrat, including the one you just had on the radio, voted against that. They want to continue counting these illegal aliens because they need them in these states like New York, where she's from, like Illinois, like California. That's exactly where they situate these sanctuary cities. Sanctuary cities are just like a magnet. They promise not to enforce the immigration laws. They promise to give them housing and benefits. And what they do is backfill the legal population that is leaving and moving to states like Tennessee.
Yeah, so we zoom out, and you brought up some legislation to ensure that only legal citizens are factored into the count for congressional districts and the Electoral College map, right? And the House...
That is exactly right.
And the House passed their version of the bill yesterday.
Yes, that's right. So the House is now on record supporting me. Every Senate Democrat has voted against it once. I'm going to bring it back and see if they're going to try to oppose me again and block it again. But the American public doesn't realize this. I think on the whole, people are shocked when they find out that illegal aliens are being counted for the purposes of allocating congressional seats and electoral votes. We don't count people that are here on vacation. We don't count people that are here on some temporary work leave. Why in the world we count people that have broken into our country illegally?
Yeah, well, and you see places like California where they say their population is growing, but we know that there's a mass exodus of U.S. citizens, so where is that population coming from? And the states like that would directly benefit from counting illegal aliens.
Well, if you look at the numbers of people that have come in just since Joe Biden has taken office, the estimates are around 10 million illegal aliens that have come into the country just in the past 3+ years. That would be 13 congressional seats.
Unbelievable.
13 congressional seats right there. And they're bringing these people in. You keep asking yourself, what is the motive behind the crime? Why would they allow our nation to be subjected to all of these deaths by fentanyl? It's the number one killer of young people between the ages of 18 and 45, drug overdose. Why are they willing to have the carnage at the southern border with all this human trafficking? Or think about the national security risk of all these people that are coming in on the terror watch list. Why are they doing it? It's for power. They want power in the congressional offices. They want power in the congressional districts, I should say, and they want the electoral votes. So every one of those congressional seats is another electoral vote for them.
So what are the chances that this makes it through the Senate? Give me a percentage.
Well, it may be right back to 49-51, which is the count right now in the Senate. But if we could get a couple of Democrats to move over, all I needed was to get a couple of them last time. They held the line. They did it because the vote was done in the middle of the night. They thought that nobody would find out about it, but they're finding out. Thank you for helping me do that. Chuck Schumer does. He's the majority leader. He controls the timing on the Senate floor, and he was able to hold it till late in the evening. But I'm going to come back again and again. And to continue to put them under pressure to do this.
Are there any Senate Democrat senators that you think might come over and support this? Maybe a guy like Fetterman, who's been increasingly based as time has gone on?
It's hard to say, but I think the more the public finds out, there is no way that the American public wants this to be the case. I think the majority of people in their districts, if they knew what their representative or what their senator were voting for, would be offended and highly, highly upset.
Well, then
this is something that most Americans are surprised by, deeply shocked by.
So how did Democrats justify not rolling with this?
I think what it is power. They're willing to do this because their overarching goal is to maintain power no matter how much damage and carnage that they are willing to allow young people to die. They're willing to support, essentially, all of the human trafficking that's going on and all of these national security risks that we're experiencing with these people coming into the country. We don't know who they are. The Laken Riley situation down in Georgia, just another case in point.
Yep.
They're allowing all of this to happen, and they're trying to look the other way and use their friends in the media to say this is not really the issue, but indeed it is. This is the motive behind their crime.
Well, I understand their motive. I guess I'm just wondering how they justify it to the people that vote for them. How do they make that make sense?
I don't see how in the world they do it. Some would argue that the Constitution is written about counting the number of people, but the Constitution talks about people a number of different ways. There is an overarching principle of one person, one vote. When you think about that, I'll give you just a simple example. Take a congressional district in a sanctuary city. Let's say it's made up of 50% illegal aliens and 50% citizens. That particular congressional district has got twice the vote. The citizen that votes there has got twice the amount of power than the citizen that's voting from a district that has no illegal alien, right? He's got half as many, eligible voters, but they've got a whole congressional district supporting them. So it's clearly wrong. It violates the principle of one person, one vote. And I think when Americans hear it, they're shocked.
It is shocking. Do you feel like the Democrat Party is imploding on itself currently?
Well, if you look at the polling here, just whether our nation is on the right track or the wrong track, Joe Biden is suffering the worst numbers that we've seen sitting U.S. president. I mean, the majority of Americans say that this country is headed the wrong direction, and that's not a good place to be if you're the Democrat Party. They're in charge. They had the House, the Senate, and the White House for 2 years, and they put this nation on a course of massive inflation, which has driven interest rates up. That's caused people not to be able to afford a home or has kept them stuck in their home. They have collapsed the border, created the greatest national security crisis we've seen as a nation. That, again, this is the subject of what we were talking about just a few minutes ago. And then if you think about the disasters that we've seen all around the world from their failed foreign policy, we've got two hot wars right now. We've got crime running rampant in our streets here in America. Mm-hmm. American public is fed up with this. So I think the Democrat Party is falling apart. You see how fractured it is when you see Joe Biden talking out of both sides of his mouth, saying he supports Israel on the one hand, but at the same time he's going to relieve the sanctions on Lebanon and start selling weapons back to them, and he's going to withhold ammunition and support from Israel if they go in and finish Hamas. They'd rather be seen supporting Hamas than Israel. It's amazing. That's
congressionally approved aid, and isn't this the same thing that Donald Trump got impeached for when it came to Ukraine?
It is. Again. Both sidism. That's exactly it. They talked about withholding aid to Ukraine, but Joe Biden bragged about withholding $1 billion to Ukraine if they didn't remove the prosecutor that was going after Burisma. I mean, this is so two-sided. But the Democrats were quick to bring an impeachment effort against against President Trump. When Joe Biden did that, there's no effort to impeach him. We've got to stand up to this.
Well, we have seen that there could be articles of impeachment drawn up. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I've been hearing about it for some time. That lies within the realm of the House of Representatives, and we have a very, very slim majority right now. It's a matter of what the House prioritizes. But if you think about what's happening, this is precisely the type of fact pattern that was used against President Trump.
Yeah. Would you support an impeachment over this?
Look, Joe Biden should have been impeached a long time ago.
Fair.
He has turned out to be the worst president we've ever seen, and the national security crisis he precipitated just by the collapse of the southern border alone would support that. And if you look at the other activities he's undertaken to basically appease our adversaries, whether it be Iran, Russia, China, even lifting sanctions on Maduro and Venezuela, everything that he's done has led to destabilization around the world and put America in a much more dangerous place.
What's your take on the new Biden campaign strategy of shorter speeches?
I think that may be a wise move. They'll probably go back to the old strategy of campaigning from the basement. That seemed to work best for him.
Well, hey, there's new mutant COVID variants coming out, I've heard. So maybe that's up for grabs.
I tell you, that may be another part of their strategy. You may be onto something there.
Yeah. So we're talking with Senator Hagerty, who's championing some legislation where illegal aliens won't be counted for congressional representation, essentially. What else is cooking up in D.C.? What are something that people need to be aware of that they're not, Senator?
Well, I think you're going to see more legislation about what's happening with the vote. I've been working, very diligently to try to make certain that we're prepared for the many changes that happen to state election laws around the country. But the focus is going to be almost entirely on November 2024 now. And what you'll see is in state by state by state, a lot of the election laws have changed. Pennsylvania is a great case in point. 2020, many rules were changed in the middle of the process. The Constitution was violated there. But by 2022, they legislated those changes. They went to 50 days of early voting, mail-out ballots to everybody on the rolls, and ballot harvesting is legal depending on the county that you're in. The Democrats were ready for that. You mentioned John Fetterman, who arrived at the Senate and couldn't even speak. Fetterman had amassed over 900,000 early votes before he ever debated Dr. Oz. Oz only had about 200,000 votes at that point in time, so there's over 700,000 vote margin. Dr. Oz won on Election Day by 400,000 votes, but that's not nearly enough to overcome the advantage that Fetterman had built up. People didn't even know who they're voting for. In fact, the most Googled question in Pennsylvania after that debate is, how do I change my vote? Well, you can't do that. So Fetterman was put into office, unknown. People didn't realize that he was disabled, and he couldn't even speak for the first year he's there. Thank God he's doing better. Yep. But it's just amazing. If that's not a good case in point of how the ground game matters. It's critically important, and we've got to be on top of all these rule changes. We've been fighting back everywhere we can, but I think there's going to be a great effort to move the rules in the ground game in their advantage. So I'm going to be very focused on that.
How do you feel about the changes at the RNC and what that means for us with the rule changes and the ground game?
Well, the RNC change is what typically happens in a presidential election year. Once the nominee is known, that nominee tends to take control of the RNC. I've worked closely with Michael Whatley before. He is very talented. He's putting together the ground game he needs to with Chris LaCivita. I'm working closely with them, and I think that they're going to take a very professional stance on this, put the right pieces in place. We've got just a matter of months to cover a lot of ground, but they're working hard every day.
Now, there's always the conversation, especially in conservative circles, about do we vote early or do we vote on Election Day? What's your take on that?
Vote early. Vote early, because when you wait till Election Day, think about what happened in Maricopa County in Arizona. I was campaigning out there with Blake Masters and Kerry Lake, and Blake was telling people to wait till Election Day because you don't know what kind of shenanigans the Democrats might undertake. Mm-hmm. Well, here's what happened. On Election Day, 2/3 of the ballot machines, 2/3 of the voting machines in Maricopa County were somehow shut down. You can't take a risk like that. What if it snows? That happened in Nevada to Adam Laxalt. It snowed in Reno on Election Day, and a lot of people couldn't get to the polls. He lost by 4 votes per precinct. It mattered. So don't take a chance. We're talking about the fall here. People need to get out, vote early, make a plan to vote, and get their vote in early to make certain that it counts. President Trump and I have been talking about this every month. I basically head down to Mar-a-Lago and visit with him about what we're doing on early voting, and he is supportive of it. He's telling people to get out and vote. Don Jr. put out 2 ads for us recently encouraging that. So I think you're going to see a big shift by the Republican Party to get our votes in and counted. It's good enough for our military to vote early and by mail and overseas. It should be good enough for us.
I guess the fear would be that your ballot would be misplaced before Election Day if you vote early. Are there safeguards in place for that?
We're trying to make certain that's true in every state. And we've got more time to do it in an early voting process than wait till the chaos of an election day. And you think about some of the footage that we've seen from Atlanta, from Philadelphia, et cetera. I think I'd rather trust a process that we can manage and monitor over the course of early voting than to wait till the crush of one day.
Senator Bill Hagerty, thank you for taking some time to stop by the show today.
Great to be with you.
Hey, before you go, what's one piece of advice to save the country for everybody listening?
Vote in November. Send Joe Biden home and put Donald Trump in office.
Hey, I appreciate it. Senator Bill Haggerty on the Newsmaker hotline here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. It's 9:51. We got way more on the way. It is technically an agenda-free Friday. I got some other stuff I want to talk about, too. We can talk about the climate change rap a little bit more if you want.
Oh, yeah. We've already got texts and calls to address that.
That's a doozy.
That is.
It's a doozy. It's 9:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They got some specials going on in May for you guys, like financing specials. If you've been waiting to replace your AC system, summer, it's here. We're going to turn around. It's here. If you need to replace your AC, you're already feeling it in your house. Call my friends at Busy Bee. They're going to offer you up to 12 months with no interest, no payment, with approved credit. And when you get that new unit, the purchase of a select new unit, you're also going to get a free air duct cleaning, fogging, and UV light home treatment with that purchase. Maybe you don't need an AC unit. Maybe you're more focused on plumbing. Well, right now, Busy Bee has $500 off select tankless water heaters and $500 off upright Essency water heaters. Plus, if you need to have your AC fixed, they usually charge an $89 dispatch fee. But on any repair, any new installation, that is completely waived. And you can always get added benefits and savings when you sign up to become a Beehive member for just $99. It's worth it. I'm a Beehive member. It's clutch. It gets you front of the line service. They were at my house in less than an hour when I needed them. It gets you 3 annual tune-ups, 1 on your heating, 1 on your cooling, 1 on your plumbing, 10% discount on all repairs, $100 annual accrued replacement credit with a maximum of $1,000, and no overtime or holiday fees, plus exclusive Beehive member promotions. If you need help with your plumbing, heating, or cooling, call my friends at Busy Bee. They are the ones that you need to trust. They're your Rude Pro partner for satisfaction guaranteed. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833, or online at busybeehvac.com.
10 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. In Bellevue, they're still cleaning up that wreck on I-40 eastbound just before Bellevue. That's about a 45-minute delay. Tell you what happened there. Apparently, a pickup and a semi crash. The semi carrying flour overturned, blocking the eastbound lane, spilling flour everywhere. Well, the driver of the pickup got out and ran away. The driver of the semi had to be extricated with non-life-threatening injuries, and police now are looking for the driver of that pickup. Right now in Nashville, Channel 4 says the toxicology report on Riley Strain's body is complete, but the Davidson County Medical Examiner says it won't be public until the complete autopsy is public and gave no timeline. Strain's body was found in the Cumberland River 2 weeks after he went missing after a night on the town with his fraternity. Videos show Strain stumbling around on Lower Broad after getting kicked out of a bar that night. Slight improvement is how Rutherford County Schools Director Jimmy Sullivan describes the condition of his 10-year-old son, Asher, who was swept into a storm drain after Wednesday's storms. Channel 4 says about 100 people showed up at a prayer vigil for the Sullivan family yesterday.
We're praying, and we're praying constantly. This family is dear to the community. He's the superintendent for the county school. I work for the city school, but he's the county. Their oldest son has had cancer and is in remission, and we thank God for that, but they need a lot of prayer.
Yeah, Asher was pushed through the drains for nearly 15 minutes in his neighborhood before he was found, and CPR reestablished his heartbeat, but his lungs are severely damaged and he had little brain activity. That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Populations of animals. I mean, think about the white-tailed deer and how when Ed started, and maybe even before Ed a little bit, they started, working to bring these populations back. And now we have these sustainable populations that we can hunt.
Yeah.
The story of the eastern wild turkey and what's happening with turkeys. So I would consider all these things great successes. The conservation efforts that have been worked on by the personnel for years, I would think that it's a great success story for our state.
You're going to see some footage from an old film that was produced here at the agency in the Game and Fish days, and which shows some things like, the wife taking care of the animal that the officer, the husband, had to bring home to take care of, because they got a call, and times have changed. Now we have the rehabilitators that help out with that kind of thing. And
thank goodness. We got to be really good friends with some of those little animals. And my first commission in 1972.
Okay, yeah.
At that time, it was a little different. The whole law enforcement world was different then. Yep. So anyway, we got the first commission in 1972 and worked all over the state. It was really great to be able to do that. Pretty much, you had one uniform. And I noticed in the movie too, everybody wearing ties. For years and years, you had to. If you wore a long sleeve shirt, you had to wear a tie. It didn't matter if you were doing enforcement or sailing a pond or whatever you were doing. You had that tie on.
Oh wow!
Wow!
And then everybody looked forward. There was one date, and it kind of moved. It was generally around April the 1st. You switched from long sleeves to short sleeves, and you didn't have to wear a tie. And everybody's going, "Come on, April 1st."
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
.05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. It's an agenda-free Friday. We can talk about anything you want to talk about. 615-737-9986. Thanks again to Senator Hagerty for stopping through earlier today. I'm trying to go through the members' nutrition text line because of you guys and this Take Aim at Climate Change song that I played earlier as a doozy of a rabbit hole to go down.
Pete, when glaciers melt, the ocean starts swelling, and then they flood the coast where the people be dwelling. You could say peace to Florida, New York, and California, all drowning in the ocean.
Don't say we didn't warn you.
And now Penny in Brentwood has her own NASA story. What's up, Penny?
Hi. Yeah. About 3 years ago, I was doing the same thing. I went down a very similar rabbit hole that you did, because I want to know, it's like, if they're pushing this climate change and humans are changing, or humans are responsible, they're pushing it so hard, where's the data? How come we don't see the reports? So I Googled. I thought, well, Google will tell me, show me some reports. It took me to NASA. And, you have all the splash, in the front, just like you're talking about. It's like, oh, it's real fact, blah, blah, blah. Humans are causing climate change and all that stuff. And their quotes are from politicians, like who cares what a politician says. But I dug, and finally found the resources. And there were 5 documents. And so I click one, open it up. It is very legit. It's very scientific. It starts with an abstract. This research is doing it to show that humans are causing global warming, specifically global warming. And so I read, they have these very, thick, substantial formulas. They explain how they came up with their formulas, explained how they came up with their models that they're using. It was very real, very legit. And reading through as best I can, get down to the bottom. Conclusion: we cannot conclude that humans are causing global warming. And what's more, so this was their day. This is one.
Oh, you there?
Back themselves up. Well, furthermore, the year on it, 1996. It was 25 years old at the time I was reading it. So I go back, I look at the other documents they have, same deal. They were all dated either the late 90s or early 2000s. They were really old, and none of them concluded that humans are causing it. It was the most ridiculous thing.
Yeah, when I went
down...
NASA. Yeah, it's NASA. That's the thing that blows my mind. It's like we're paying for you guys to give false information to kids.
Yeah, so they have at the top level what everybody's reading, false information, and then their own resources on their own website that contradict that.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And I went down the rabbit holes, and every video that I found, I would scroll down to the bottom, and it would say expert science review pending.
Yeah, but they don't have it. So what we can conclude from this, there are no recent. Somebody can come up with a recent research paper that does conclude it. Our conclusion, yours and mine, is that they don't. It's what we have been thinking all along is true. They're just making this stuff up.
100%. 100%. Yeah. Thank you for the call, Penny. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. I actually saw another story as I was doing my rabbit holing on the Take Aim at Climate Change video. More experts are weighing in on climate change. Did you know that the smell of cooking is bad for the environment? And everyone remain calm. Remain calm. Researchers said if you can smell it, there's a good chance it's impacting air quality. It's a new claim to add to concerns over climate change. Cooking aromas. This is all according to a new study conducted by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the NOAA. Cooking activities are polluting the air through human-caused volatile organic compounds, which researchers claim negatively impact the environment. So don't cook anything that smells good, or you're just as bad as Taylor Swift in her private jet. Let's go to Malika in Nashville. Malika, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Malika?
Hi, Chris. How are you? My thoughts and prayers are really with these people, and I'm just sad. But are you okay from the storm, first of all, you and Matt?
Yes, ma'am. How about you guys? You guys good?
Yeah, we're good. It's just sad, and yeah, I'm just trying to help my community because I love it down here. But, I want to say about Trump. This Stormy Daniels person is ridiculous. She is trying to sound like, I'm the victim, I'm this, I'm that. Trump has done nothing wrong. So stop playing the victim woman, and also him thing. Children do what they see, and first of all, God made Adam and Eve, and stop with the thing, with the gay things on TV, gay people. Stop. It's this: Adam and Eve, man and a woman should be together, not a man and a man and all that. Thanks for taking my call. So
Thanks.
Guys.
Thanks, Malika. Appreciate you. Malika, she's great. She spent a little bit longer than she usually does. Larry in Clarksville wants to talk about the Trump trial. What's up, Larry?
Well, first of all, it's kind of hard to follow Malika, and I just had to, I'm on the back deck with one of my dogs, and I just had to tell him, look, dude, don't look at your butt. If you smelt it, you dealt it.
Yep. That's climate change.
Yeah, exactly. Chris, please tell me in what other court case in this country, in our history, that the prosecution does not have to provide the actual criminal charge to the defendant's attorneys.
Yep.
And please tell me what other... All right, Mac, get your hand on the button. Please tell me what other POS judge would not have already been removed from the bench for allowing this.
Yeah, well, and there's so many red flags, and I appreciate your call, Larry. Thanks so much. There's so many red flags from his daughter to everybody around him. Senator Rick Scott was actually trashing all of the red flags around the Trump trials just yesterday.
Now let's look at who's involved in doing this. The lead prosecutor was the number 3 person the Biden Justice Department. The judge's daughter is a political operative and raises money for Democrats.
Gets paid by Arizona Dems and Gretchen Whitmer, too.
You've got the lead prosecutor's wife that is a significant donor to Democrats, and I think to Biden. So this is just a bunch of Democrats saying, we want to make sure that Donald Trump can't talk. They've got a gag order.
Yep.
So he can't go campaign. They've got him holed up in a courtroom. So Joe Biden go campaign, but Donald Trump can't. This has to stop. Look, we know that President Biden can't win this election fair and square. He has nothing to run on. And we know President Trump has a record. He secured the border. He had a great economy. We weren't at war. So that's why this is happening. Joe Biden knows and Democrats know that he cannot win. Joe Biden cannot win this election.
Yep, he knows it. He knows it. That's why the lawfare has been deployed. Charles, who says he's a reluctant Dem, wants to talk about climate change. What's up, Charles?
Hey, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. What do you mean reluctant Dem? I thought they were only enthusiastic Dems.
Well, here's the thing. The reality is that anyone with half a brain is a reluctant Democrat or a reluctant Republican at this point, because I think that we've got a lot of issues on both sides of the aisle. We no longer understand how to disagree without becoming disagreeable, okay? Yep. So I think that's the big issue across the board in America. But a reluctant Democrat is what I am, so I'm maybe leaning more on the Republican side, but we'll wait and see about that.
Hey, we'll welcome you over here, Charles.
I'm sure. I'm positive that you will. Okay, Chemistry 101. Isn't it true that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction?
Yes.
So if that is the case, all of the things that we as humans have done to the planet, it has to have a reaction. There has to be something. That, i.e., global warming. I mean, if you're over, I'd say probably 40, you can see how the seasons have changed. It used to be a time when we had more snow, longer winters, spring, things like that. And a lot of that stuff has changed. And I know that, they say, well, it's only a little bit here and there. But, when I was a kid, it was, at this time of year, we would rarely ever get up into the high 80s. Now it's nothing to get up into the 90s sometime around this time of year.
But you can't point at outliers and say that that's evidence.
But, okay, but think about this.
Temperatures fluctuate.
I agree with that. But I remember watching a documentary on PBS years ago, and there were
you said PBS?
Yes.
That's the start of a problem, pal. Keep going.
Okay. All right. So think about it. And so what the people were talking about was dealing with the fuel industry, gas industry. And what they were talking about was that they were actual people who were lobbyists and paid to write articles to promote the idea that burning fossil fuels did not impact the environment. And all the way back into the 1950s, the petroleum industry knew that was not true.
But bro, but you can look at the money trail on the flip side and say there are people getting paid to push a climate agenda.
Oh, that's our problem. That is our problem. Nobody on either side is truly working for the people.
No, and listen, I don't like pollution. I don't like our rivers being poisoned or our air being poisoned. But we're doing pretty good in this country, and it seems like we're going to be taxed to high heaven to keep the Green New Deal going.
Well, and that's a problem as well. And trust me, that money will be funneled over into stuff that none of us want.
And you look at what they're funding, right? So taxpayer dollars are going into NASA. NASA is then funding a third party who's funding teaching resources to go into classrooms in public schools. And it says in the fine print about the content that is pending scientific review. They don't even have the facts to push the narratives that they're sending out to schools.
But think about this, okay? A lot of times with this research, it takes years and years and years to actually get enough data. You can't just pull a small pocket of data and say, okay, here's the evidence. But if you expand that date range, you can probably get a better understanding and be able to better lay out what you're trying to propose, and that's probably what they're doing.
Yeah, but Democrats try and tell us that the climate was so much better 100,000 years ago, and 200,000 years ago.
There you go. Who knows? None of us know.
Yep.
And if there is someone who does know, I'd like to see who it is. But thanks again for taking my call, my friend.
Absolutely, Charles. I appreciate you, man. Call in anytime.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Let's go to Wayne. Wayne, you're next on Super Talk. What's going on, Wayne? Wayne? Mac's been messing up names. Is it Blaine, Jane, Kane?
Hey, good morning.
Hey, what's up?
I work in environmental, and you can do some research on CO2 and the effects on the climate. The environments are pushing to bring us down to below 1 million of CO2 atmospherically. But greenhouses and nurseries use CO2 generators to increase the level of CO2 for their plant growth to from 800 to 12 parts per million.
Really?
And what that does is it creates and grows stronger plants that produce better, and it makes them less resilient on water usage. And so like in drought-ridden areas like, say, California, that relies heavily on irrigation, if you had higher CO2 levels out there, the plants would be more resilient and grow better, and would also contribute to water conservation and use less water. It's proven. There's a Dr. Christie. I can't think of his first name right off the top of my head, but he was a meteorologist and environmental scientist. He was a professor and a teacher at Harvard, if I'm not mistaken, and he does I think he must have way since, but used to do extensive lectureships on CO2 and its benefits to the environment. And higher CO2 levels actually produce better phytoplankton in the oceans that produce photosynthesis. And so all this stuff about environmental.
So you're going the exact opposite way. You're saying we need to actually increase our CO2.
If you take CO2 levels down below 400 parts per million, or get down to their 300 parts per million that their goals are, you will be killing the planet. You will kill plant life. You will kill living creatures. And there's going to be people going to call in and go that I'm full of it or whatever. But you do the research, I guarantee you can find it. As a matter of fact, a good example is the Lost Squadron that landed in 1942, 1943 up in Greenland in a severe snowstorm. Back in the 80s, after they'd been buried for about 40 years, they were found in over 250 feet of ice and snow buried. And it totally debunked the ice layer theories and snowfall theories that the evolutionists and environmentalists posed, because they had direct evidence about from coring down 250 feet to recover actually one of the planes that was buried, which was called Glacier Girl. They rebuilt it, reconstructed it, and it now flies at air shows.
Interesting.
And so what I'm saying is, I could go on for hours on this. I've done a lot of research, and I could pull you the proof and everything. But on the radio right now, you don't have time for that. But I'm telling people to do the research, look it up, ask the questions.
Well, I think the thing that bugs me the most is that the research that they're providing kids in grade school, there's no scientific data to back it up, yet our tax dollars are funding it via NASA.
Absolutely. Scholastic, when I was in school, 1970s in elementary school, Scholastic, they said we were going into an ice age, that there were going to be glaciers that were going to cover Canada and come down into North America because we were blocking out the sun with the emissions from our cars and industrial plants and creating this global cooling. And then, 10, 15, 20 years later, now we're into global warming and then climate change, and now they're saying we got climate emergencies and all kinds of stuff. So
yeah, hey, don't forget about acid rain, Wayne. Don't forget about that
absolutely.
either. Yeah,
absolutely.
Hey, I appreciate your call, man.
I appreciate. Yeah, you too, man. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. It's 10:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. This all spawned because I found a song that I thought was funny, and I went down a rabbit hole and found out that a song called "Take Aim at Climate Change" is actually produced for middle school kids, lower high school kids, to teach them about the dangers of climate change via your tax dollars and NASA. Heck of a rabbit hole. The song was "Take Aim at Climate Change."
Pete, when glaciers melt, the ocean starts swelling, and then they flood the coast where the people be dwelling. You could say peace to Florida, New York, and California, all drowning in the ocean.
Don't say we didn't warn you.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Heads up, drivers, Bellevue. They are still cleaning up that crash this morning, 40 eastbound just before Bellevue. Right lane is blocked. Looking for the driver of a pickup that was involved in that crash, too. Got some news about one of former President Trump's former top White House advisors and his appeal in court. Coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
When the indoctrination is fresh. This is what your taxpayer dollars go to. Just fun songs for middle school kids via NASA. Unbelievable. We've been talking about climate change a little bit. Mike in Dixon wants to talk about climate change. Mike, you're on Super Talk.
Hey, you guys. Hey, guys. Good afternoon. Well, good afternoon. Good morning, I guess. I'm not totally. I'll never be sold on the climate change, and here's why. You go back and look at when they started keeping weather records, there was extremes then. But about 10 years ago, and I saw this one morning on Good Morning America, they did a weather segment, and there was a company out there, and they didn't disclose the name of the company, but they was going to do a test to see what they could do to try to kill thunderstorms. They showed it, the results of it, and the thunderstorms, severe thunderstorms, just disappeared on the radar.
Really?
But now, yeah, after that, I've never seen anything else, never heard anything else about that. So I do believe that there's privately owned companies out there who have learned to manipulate the weather.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can look online, and there'll be there's companies where you can pay like $100,000 to make sure you don't have rain on your wedding day.
Yeah, so I think they've done it on a bigger scale. And you're talking about going down the rabbit hole. That's kind of like, do you remember the TV show Quantum Leap?
Yes.
Okay, they got him leaping into all this, and they couldn't stop it. They had to figure out a way. I think that's what they've done with the weather now. That they manipulated it so much in certain areas that they can't stop it.
It's an interesting theory, Mike. I appreciate the call, man.
Gotcha.
Let's go to Keith in Cross Plains. Keith, you're next on Super Talk.
Hey, what's going on? I'll try not to start a firestorm like I did on the race thing last week, but no, I had, recently Tennessee passed a bill about cloud seeding.
Yep, Monty
and
Fritz.
I hadn't seen anybody talk about that, but I was watching something else on, and I actually posted a video about it on some of my channels. But the thing is, they've been doing this for a while. I saw another guy posted something from 1953 where they were talking about it in newspapers. They were seeding clouds, and he said it even went back to the 40s when they started all this. Yeah. And don't tell me that's not going to make some changes to the climate.
100%. No, I get all that. And we've actually had Monty Fritz on a couple times to talk about that, Bill. I appreciate your call, Keith. Monty's a smart guy, and he cites a lot of research. And, I mean, you can do your own research on it. I suggest that you do. During Vietnam, they're creating clouds to give them cover during warfare. Like some of the uses of it, it's totally understandable, but it's proven, and it's out there if you do your own research. 1031 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Again, still cleaning up that crash, 40 eastbound before Bellevue. The right lane is blocked. That's about a 32-minute delay. I'll tell you what happened there. A driver of a pickup crashed with a semi hauling flour. Flour spilled everywhere. The semi blocked the road. They got it out of the way, but they're looking for the driver of the pickup that was involved in the crash. Steve Bannon, one of former President Trump's top White House advisors, has lost his appeal of his contempt of Congress conviction. Here in Nashville, a toxicology report's complete on Riley Strain's body. Strain's body found in the Cumberland River 2 weeks after he went missing during a night on Lower Broad with his fraternity. Channel 4 says the medical examiner says the toxicology report will be made public once the completed autopsy is made public, but didn't give a timeline. In our nation's capital, the Senate has voted to make flying safer and add consumer protections for flyers. The House is expected to take this up very quickly. Current law expires in just 1 week, putting thousands of Federal Aviation Administration workers at risk of being furloughed. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. Hey, Mac, I need help using the printer again, so I sent you an email for something to print. So just letting you know. Thanks. It's Chris Hand for my friends at Paul Winkler Inc. Hey, you know Paul. I know Paul. He's been hosting his investor coaching show every Saturday from 3 to 6 on WTN for years. I would listen to him before I got my show here. My wife and I, we would learn from him. And we know, but you may not, that he started that show after he spent some time studying under an economist who went on to win a Nobel Prize. That's Paul's background. That's his history. That's where he learned. He's also an avid collector of financial planning designations. He has up to 8 now. So this is why my wife and I work with Paul. We heard him on WTN before I got my show. And when I came on board, it was an easy choice to work with Paul. And it's because he holds himself to the highest level of fiduciary status. And because of that, he makes sure I tell you I get paid when these commercials air. That full disclosure, I do. Transparency, I like it. I like the honesty that Paul brings to the table. Where else do you hear that? I also like that Paul's team does nothing on commission. It really gives you peace of mind that they're giving you advice for your financial future and not theirs, because they're doing nothing on commission. And they'll educate you along the way. I'll text Paul randomly late at night. Did you see this graph? It's freaking me out. Can you help me out? And he'll break it down in a way that I can understand it. And usually it's like, calm down, zoom out. Look at the whole picture. And Paul will look at your whole financial picture before he helps you make decisions, because that's going to be unique to you. It starts by setting up a phone call. Set up a 15-minute phone call today with Paul and his team. Just go to paulwinkler.com. That's all you have to do. Go to paulwinkler.com. 10:38 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, it's Friday. Are you ready for the weekend? I'm pumped. We got the Iroquois steeplechase tomorrow. That's going to be fun. Me and Murphy are going to be there. I believe tickets are still available if you want to join us in the VIP area. We're going to have, it's all inclusive. Food from Famous Dave's, drinks from Jack Daniels, me, Murphy, horses going clip-clop. What's better than that? What? That's what they do.
Well, and they got games out there. They got Jenga, Connect 4. Yeah, there's a bunch of fun stuff to do out there, man.
Dude, we're going to have a good time.
It's endless, yeah. It's going to be great. It's supposed to be, I think it's supposed to be good weather.
Is it?
I think it's supposed to be pretty good weather.
I haven't looked at the weather at all.
I think we're going to, maybe a little hot, but not as hot as last year was hot, and it was still a great time. So let me check the weather, but I think it's going to be great.
Let's fact check the weather.
That's what we do here.
Fact check that. Is there sun?
High of 78 degrees.
Oh,
that's actually awesome.
That's perfect.
That's awesome. Yep.
Oh, man.
Partly cloudy, partly sunny. Yep.
I like it. All right. So, yeah. You coming yet? Did you decide?
I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. Breaking your heart yet again.
You watching underwater hockey again?
It's huge championship, bro.
Okay. All right. I'll let it go. It's an agenda-free Friday on the Chris Hand Show, so anything you guys want to talk about, we can talk about. 615-737-9986. You can also find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram. All of them are the same, at Chris Hand on Air. I will do my best to follow everybody back. Some of you guys have weird handle and usernames, and you look like Russian bots. So I apologize if you look like a Russian bot. Just send me a message and say that you're not a Russian bot, and I'll follow you back. Matt in Smyrna wants to talk about the election. Hey, Matt.
Hey, what's going on, Chris?
What's up, dude?
So, not much. Hey, let me tell you something. I think going forward, I think the last free and fair election was in 2020.
What? You said 2016. You said 2016 wrong.
No, I said 2020. Remember, we did have COVID, and we had special situations.
No, that wasn't free and fair.
See, again, that's the problem. See, all these states, if you don't think that these state officials had conferences with every state on how they were going to negotiate the election, see, the states approved all that. So if the states, you want to be separate and have their rights.
No, in Pennsylvania, they approved, they made rule changes and they didn't go through the legislative body to do it.
Okay, but you know what? Even so, the people in power made that decision not to do that, and you had to live with their direction since they're the ones sitting in that seat.
But you just said the last free and fair election was 2020.
Okay, but again.
And then you're saying, yeah, they made rule changes. They didn't go through the legislation, but you have to deal with it because they're the ones in power.
Okay, so again, that's correct. So it's like if I turn around and vote for a person, and also they get into that seat and do something different, I got to live with that, and we'll have to negotiate that later. But moving forward on this election, Donald Trump has already said that if I lose, it's rigged. And the people who are supporters saying, if he loses, then I don't accept the results.
Oh, like the way Hillary Clinton didn't accept the results in 2016, or Stacey Abrams didn't accept the results of Georgia when she lost her governorship. Has Stacey Abrams conceded losing the governorship in Georgia yet?
False equivalent, sir. False equivalent, because you have the right. And by the way, Hillary Clinton could have challenged a secondary count. It was that close, but she didn't. She conceded.
Yeah, she knew she lost, but then she went on TV the next day and said, Russia. Russia.
Look, she has and guess what? She has the constitutional right to say that. Freedom of speech. But she did not try to send the Democrats over to the Capitol building to stop the election.
Yeah, Trump didn't either.
I thought there was a rally on January 6th.
Peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
Really? Okay, so where were the weapons coming from? And by the way, Chris, do you know the problem with the January 6th and the Capitol? You should know this. Do you know
the fact that they didn't let the National Guard there when Trump requested them?
Again, Trump is the head of the military, including the National Guard. Wasn't approved by
Nancy Pelosi and the DC mayor.
It doesn't have to be. Come on, man! It doesn't have to be approved. He supersedes everything.
Okay.
Come on, now you know better than that.
Okay.
You know better than. But here's the bigger problem. When the protesters were hitting the guards with the riot shields, did the guards ever attack back? You didn't see that. They stood fast. But let me go back to the major point of the January 6th. The Capitol building, sir, is a priority B resources when the lawmakers are not in the building. But when they are in the building, it turns into a priority A resource.
I mean, I guess I'm just wondering why, like, you started off the call saying that 2020 was the last fair and free election, and now we're talking about January 6th. So I just don't really know why we're moving goalposts. I don't know.
Okay,
kind of what's the point?
Okay, the point is when you're destroying the democratic process of elections, because now if Biden wins, you're going to say it's rigged again.
It's funny. Actually, when you look at polling, Trump is up everywhere. So it would be an absolute shocker if Biden won. And actually, when you look at the polling on independents, and thanks for your call, Matt. When you look at the poll on independents, they actually think that Biden is more dangerous to democracy than Donald Trump. That's according to MSNBC.
Another thing interesting in this polling was more independents said that they worry about President Biden weakening democracy than Trump, 53% to 42%. What do you make of this?
I find it shocking, honestly. I can't make sense of that number.
Can't make sense of it. This is where we're at in the election in 2024. Trump is up everywhere. Everywhere. They trust him on the economy. They trust him on the border. Biden is down with youth, black, Muslim. He's losing support everywhere. He lost 12 points in 2 months in voters 18 to 29. 12 points in 2 months. But, Democrats, as Trump puts it, they're not happy people.
Has anyone ever noticed that there's just no happiness on the left? They're not happy. They're not happy people, and for good reason. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and that sometimes I feel like that about Matt. I do. Because then the Democrats, they can't have Joe Biden go out there. They need shorter speeches, right? Because Biden has nothing to campaign on. They get worried that he's going to say his uncle was eaten by cannibals or something. So then they send out their surrogates like Hillary Clinton, and Hillary Clinton will go out there and say, Trump is literally Hitler.
The world has been here before. People did not take the kind of threats that we saw in the 1930s as seriously as they should, including American journalists. People were taking at face value that, this can be controlled. He may have said some outrageous things, but, the institutions will hold.
Yeah, the institutions will hold. Trump is literally Hitler. Higgins, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, Higgins?
Hey, what's going on, Chris? Y'all had a good week, man. I'm sorry I ain't called in a few days.
Man, you're good. What's up?
I just turned on the radio, man, and I literally heard a perfect example of that Trump derangement syndrome again, man. It's almost like I feel like you need to have, I'm sorry, your guy that answered the phone, I'm so sorry, I don't remember his name, Matt, right?
Yep, Matt.
Okay. It's almost like he needs to ask everybody, okay, are you at least open to another opinion? Because every single time I hear somebody get on here, running jabberwalling about freaking Biden and his so-called accomplishments, they have absolutely no open mind or open thought about, there might be another opinion out there. That other opinion might be a little better than what I've got. You know what I'm saying? There might be a better option. But no, they're just too busy living in their despair, living in their I think it's a lack of God, honestly, in everybody's life.
Yep.
But it's just, you know what I mean? They cannot. I guess it kind of talks about it in the Word, man. When they have the scales over their eyes, it's just there's no seeing the light. You know what I mean? I do pray for him, but, man, dude was talking out the side of his mouth, man. I was wondering if he, took his daily dose of morning schmo or something this morning. I don't know, bro. It saddens me that so many people are just that blinded to,
I hear you. It's
life.
like you have to be willing to accept new information and allow that to change your opinion, even if it's deeply held beliefs. Like, you have to at least be able to investigate it. But they're not.
Yeah.
They're just angry.
Yeah, and it's almost like they cannot. It's almost like they're incapable. You know what I'm saying? Because they're so drowned in the fake garbage and the hearsay and all this stuff. And honestly, man, probably 95 to 100% of it is complete BS.
Yep.
But they think because it's about Trump or because it's about the Republican Party or whatever. Myself, I'm a conservative, but and I guess I vote Republican. But I mean, it's just I want a better life for my children. You know what I'm saying? Either have babies and realize that when you have a baby, or start praying, because they're going to need an epiphany in their lives. And so maybe that's what we need to pray for.
Yep.
Just epiphanies, to that light bulb to go off. You know what I'm saying? For these folks before November.
Please.
Because I'm telling you, man, I believe Trump could be sitting in a jail cell, and he's still going to be running the country.
Hey, you and me both, Higgins. I appreciate the call, man.
All right, man. Have a blessed one.
You too. God bless. Yeah, Trump said it best.
They're not happy. They're not happy people, and for good reason. Thank you very much.
November, baby. 6 months away. It's going to take so long, isn't it? It's going to feel like forever. All right, so on the way, Hillary Clinton was doing her thing on MSNBC. She didn't just call Trump literally Hitler. She also called him a demagogue and says that the press hasn't done enough to stop him, and he's a dictator. And then she goes on a litany of hypocrisy and gaslighting that I got for you. I had to listen to it, so you have to listen to it too. It's 10:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Still cleaning up that crash. Eastbound 40, there before Bellevue. The right lane is blocked. That's a 21-minute delay. One of former President Trump's top White House advisors on the losing end of an appeal. Fast food prices taking a big bite out of Americans' bank accounts. These stories are more at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So I was going to play the Hillary Clinton audio, and we'll do that after Ken's newscast at the top of the hour because there's a lot to break down with the Hillary audio. But
do we have to?
We have to.
Okay.
But before that, let's get to the best female vice president we've ever had. I don't want to disappoint you and not play some of the best females in the Democrat Party. So remember yesterday she's at that weird abortion event and she's like yelling out, Kamala Harris is yelling out ovaries and fallopian tubes and all that. I missed a piece of audio yesterday.
Oh.
And this isn't Kamala talking.
Okay.
This is just her being introduced. This woman is on another level. The one introducing her. I didn't even spend enough time to research who it is because I don't want to know.
Yeah.
This is how Kamala Harris got introduced at her abortion campaign event.
We are about to talk with one of the most capable, influential, bold, and fearless thinkers ever.
Hold on. That would have been a lot on its face, but there's more.
This human right here isn't out to connect some of us. She is here to connect all of us.
Wait. There's more.
And this human being just happens to be a woman. Woo. Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Wow.
That was something.
I wish I had somebody in my life that would introduce me with the enthusiasm that Kamala Harris got introduced with. And I think the best part is at the end there, even Kamala Harris is like, that's a bit much. She goes,
oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. All right, so after Ken's newscast, we'll get to one of the other leading ladies of the Democrat Party, Hillary Clinton. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 2 minutes. Bellevue, the right lane of 40 eastbound, is blocked, causing a 34-minute delay. Still trying to clean up that crash from this morning. And they're looking for the driver of one of the vehicles involved who ran away. Back here in Nashville, new developments in the Riley Strain case. The toxicology report's complete, but it won't be released to the public until the complete autopsy is released, and it's unclear when that's going to be. Strain's body was found in the Cumberland River 2 weeks after being kicked out of a Broadway bar. One of former President Trump's top White House advisors has lost his appeal of his contempt of Congress conviction.
Steve Bannon refused to appear before the House January 6th committee and was found guilty of contempt of Congress at trial. He was sentenced to 4 months in prison. Bannon has remained out of jail as he sought to have his conviction and sentence overturned. But a 3-judge panel of the D.C. Circuit Appeals Court has now unanimously ruled against him. Fellow former Trump aide Peter Navarro began his 4-month sentence for contempt in March.
Stephen Portnoy reporting. Is fast food taking a big bite out of your wallet? You're not alone. Some say they're not loving it. In fact, they're suffering from sticker shock. Some people have turned to social media to make it known how unappetizing the costs are. Here's Becky Worley.
While fast food prices soar, when did McDonald's get so expensive? Some consumers, like Colleen Pipes of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, are saying enough is enough.
And I don't mean to be broke, but for an 8-count mini and a lemonade, $14?
Fast food prices in March were 33% higher than 2019 levels, according to the Labor Department. And it's influencing behavior. Companies like Starbucks and McDonald's reporting a downturn in traffic.
That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
This human right here isn't out to connect some of us. She is here to connect all of us. And this human being just happens to be a woman.
Let's get ready. Yes, I feel like she would have the same kind of intro if she was at a wrestling match.
Yeah.
Everybody on the members nutrition text line, I must have got 100 texts just now going, this last part they find problematic.
Woman!
I'm getting texts 0471. How do they know she's a woman? 7568. Wait, is the person introducing her a biologist? 5354. Does that mean she can define?
Woman!
Well, it's certainly not Justice Ketanji Brown Simpson up there.
No, it is not. It is not. It's so funny. You guys are a hoot. All right, 615-737-9986. I'm going to play that Hillary audio. But real quick, Dave, our favorite Hebrew, has been waiting on the line for a minute. I want to get to his call. What's up, Dave?
What's going on, guys? How are y'all?
Good, man. Appreciate you holding.
No problem. Boy, I really don't know how to follow your neo-Bolshevik apologist caller. How's anybody gonna sit there with a straight face and say, well, the people in power made those decisions, when that's not how the country works?
Yep.
Bro, maybe you should go to a civics class.
Yep.
But regardless of that, this Trump lawfare business. A long time ago, this guy named Lavrenti Beria, who he was Stalin's chief prosecutor and wound up being the first head of the KGB, had a quote. And the quote was, "Show me the man, I will show you the crime."
Yep.
And this is 1,000% that theory in practice. And, I shudder to think what would happen if they were to jail that man.
I think it would be a home run for the Republicans.
Well, not just what would happen to Trump in jail, but I'm talking about the reaction of voters.
Yeah.
I mean, that really could go either way.
I mean, I've said it a couple times.
That's troubling on some level.
I hope it happens just to see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, the reaction to that will make the Tea Party look like a fart in a windsock.
I think you may be right. And the crazy part is like they're all realizing that the lawfare is falling apart. They know they're not going to get any other trials before the election. And I mean, they can't send Biden out there, so they're sending out surrogates like Hillary Clinton. Like they know that this is a lost cause.
Well, and for right now, these days, for any Democrat to sit there and compare anybody to Hitler while their little acolytes are on college campuses chanting "from the river to the sea" and globalize the Intifada.
Yep.
Let me remind everybody that the Nazis did not call themselves National Socialists because they thought it sounded cool.
Yep.
They called themselves National Socialists because that's what they believed in.
Yeah.
The only reason they fought with the communists was because, as leftists tend to do, being a perpetuative state of perpetual childhood, they fought with each other for despots fight with each other for total control over a population. But I just want all your as Rush Limbaugh called them, seminar callers. I want them all to realize that this Jew on the phone right now is telling you that if you want to talk about threats to democracy, take a look at what's going on college campuses. You brought this about.
100%. Hey,
you brought this about.
I appreciate your call, Dave. Thanks so much, man.
Thanks,
I appreciate you holding as long as you did. Thanks so much, buddy.
All right.
Yeah, Dave's right. And here's the thing. They are not sending out Joe Biden to do damage control. They can't. They can't trust him. So they send out Hillary Clinton to do damage control. And Hillary, she does her best attempt at just making Trump seem as evil as he possibly can be. She calls Trump a demagogue. She says the press hasn't done enough to stop him. She calls him a dictator and more. This is on MSNBC.
A determined demagogue, unfortunately supported by members of his political party, other enablers, people who care more about a future tax cut than the sanctity of the Constitution, are falling in line behind him. They are trying to excuse some of the most outrageous things that you just recited. And I don't think the press has done enough to basically say, okay, the circus is here. You can watch the circus, but let's tell you what that means.
I think it's so funny that she's saying the press isn't doing enough work to show people what's happening. They ignore the absurd. And I find myself thinking like, hey, did the press cover Joe Biden saying that his uncle was eaten by cannibals at all? Did they? I mean, she continues. In the next clip, I mean, there's a lot in this next clip. She doesn't realize that the Democrats are doing all the things that she's accusing Trump of, or she knows exactly the Democrats are doing all that they're accusing Trump of, and she's just gaslighting the American public in this clip. This is a doozy from Hillary Clinton.
Back in 2016, we didn't have interviews with him. We didn't have a track record of 4 years in office. There was a lot of speculation, and I understood that people wouldn't take what I said necessarily as gospel about what I thought could happen. I get that. But now we know. We've seen him and we've heard him.
Yeah, and that would mean like a booming economy, no foreign wars, America first, maybe we can finish the wall. People do know that, and I think that that's what scares the Dems the most. When Biden ran in 2020, we didn't really have a record to look at. We can look at Biden's record now. We can look at the inflation. We can look at the mortgage rates. We can look at the new wars. We can look at the draining of our strategic petroleum reserve. We can look at what's happening with Israel and Hamas. We can look at what's happening with Ukraine. We can look at what's happened with the Biden crime family. We have a lot more info on that. Unbelievable. Oh, we didn't have anything to look at. We do now. Yeah, we sure do. We sure do.
And so we need to do a better job of making it absolutely clear that someone who says these things, maybe he wouldn't jail all of his political opponents. One is one too many.
It's hilarious. Oh, he wouldn't jail all of his political opponents. One is one too many. What did we just talk about with Dave who called in? They're trying to jail Trump because they can't beat him any other way. They have waged lawfare against him. It's falling apart. So what do you do when it falls apart? Well, you send out the surrogates because you can't send out Joe. And they say Trump is going to lock up his political opponents. I hope that people do get investigated. And if they've committed crimes, I hope that they are charged.
Maybe he wouldn't try to force out of business the members of the press who didn't agree with him. One is one too many. We go down the line.
It's so funny because it was Joe Biden and his camp and the Democrats who censored the Hunter Biden laptop story. It was the Democrats who went after Julian Assange and got him locked in an Ecuadorian embassy in 2012. It was the Democrats who continued going after Julian Assange after all the Seth Rich and Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton email dumps. That was the Democrats going after the press.
And maybe this would be our last election, because someone who will not accept the validity of an election is someone who doesn't believe in elections. He believes in his own power, his own right to power, and his demand that he be installed regardless of whether he gets the votes or not.
Oh, and there we go. And Hillary Clinton, she said that Russia interfered in the 2016 election. Democrats deny elections. Trump, oh, you can't say that. Can't say that. The absolute hypocrisy from Hillary Clinton is mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing, but not shocking. Not shocking at all. Joy in McMinnville wants to talk about protests. Joy, you're next on Super Talk. What's up?
I've been watching hours upon hours of all the protests all over. The one thing I think that a lot of our age is forgetting is that these kids want socialism because they think that the rich people will have to redistribute their money and everybody will have money and not have to work for it. And they think that our way, of the American way that we grew up in, is antiquated and needs to all be redone. I have watched their speeches. I bet I've spent 24 hours watching all of these protests all over the United States. And that is one thing they all have in common. The hatred of America and our ways that we grew up, as well as these kids think they should be given money by all the rich people, and that way nobody would have to worry about buying anything. Yeah,
you're right, Joy, and I appreciate the call, but this is all trickling down from the people funding the protests like the George Soroses of the world. They absolutely want to destroy the country. Gary in Springfield wants to talk about pronouns. Gary, what's up? You're on Super Talk.
Well, I appreciate being on, and as usual, you are my favorite program.
Oh, thanks,
man. But now, okay, first off, she's not a woman, she's a pronoun. So those people keep confusing me. And the other is I got a tattoo of the Israeli flag below my Tennessee flag put on my left shoulder for October 7th, 2023. And I did that because enough's enough with this anti-Semitism and this Holocaust business. And so I put that, I got the Star of David on me, so that's to my Jewish friend there. And the other is this. If you ever looked up the Sonderkommandos, those Jewish guys in the death camps that took care of the bodies and the incineration and all that. Keep in mind this. All of the German guards, all of the Sonderkommando were all volunteers. Now, the Sonderkommandos, they were in fear of death, so if they cooperated and took care of being part of the process of extermination, they were volunteers, one. But they lived a lavish lifestyle. They were fed. They had the booze. They had it all. And even the guards, because that'll affect anybody. What I'm saying there is, as far as I'm concerned, Chuck Schumer is a Sonderkommando for what he's done, what he's doing to Israel. And Soros is a Sonderkommando, selling out their own people for money. The difference, though, is these two are not under threat of death, and they make me sick.
Hey,
so,
I hear you, Gary. I hear you, man, and I appreciate your call. I do worry as we go down this road, as it comes to Israel. What's happening with the Republicans does make me question some things. I'll be honest with you. So that Joe's withholding aid to Israel for political reasons, right? He's trying to turn voters his way, the youth vote, and he's trying to, essentially he's turning his back on Israel for the youth vote, right? So Corey Mills out of Florida announced yesterday that they're drafting up articles to impeach Joe Biden over that decision, which you look at and you go, okay, cool. They impeached Trump over the same thing. But if this articles of impeachment happens, I do have a question for Republicans. If the impeachment goes down for this, I think we need to ask ourselves, do Republicans care more about Biden betraying Israel than they do about Biden betraying America? Because you look at what Republicans have done lately, they voted against the First Amendment for Israel. They'll defend Israel's border with our resources, be it money, weapons, before they defend ours. And now it looks like they'll be willing to impeach Biden over Israel after everything he's done to our country, right? After everything he's done, they may impeach him over a weapons shipment to Israel. And I got to ask you, and I know they're our ally. I get it. But pretend it's a different country, right? Ask yourself this honestly. Do Republicans care more about betraying Israel than they do about Biden betraying America? 615-737-9986. Because I want your opinion on this. If you take Israel out of it and you pretend it's another country, would that fly? Why would this be the issue that Republicans have decided to impeach on if they move forward with it, if that happens? Why wouldn't they have gotten Biden on his dereliction of the duty on the border? The failure to prevent that invasion. Why haven't they touched on the crime wave that resulted because of the open border? Why haven't they impeached him about the crimes and the foreign money and the family business? Why didn't they impeach him over the Afghanistan withdrawal? I think that's a question we all need to ask ourselves. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand from my friends at the Glock store. I am so excited. I'm actually, as soon as I leave the store today, as soon as I leave the station today, I'm going to the Glock store to get some training in. I'm pumped. The Shoot 270 room, it's going to be my first time doing that. I'm used to the lanes, never done the Shoot 270 room. I'm excited to do that today. I'll tell you how it went next week, but I also want to tell you while I'm here about the open house, June 1st, Glock store. Can't miss. Happening so soon. It's the 4th annual open house, Saturday, June 1st, 10 to 2 p.m. Where else are you going to be able to go where they're giving away over $10,000 worth of prizes, like Red Dot Optics or weapon lights with lasers from Nightstick, or pistol and rifle bags from Savior. That raffle list is just growing and growing and growing. And there's going to be competitions backed by popular demand, like the Nightstick low light, no light competition. They're giving away hourly prizes for the top score in that competition. The fast and accurate competitions, that's back as well, with the top shooter winning a Glock 19, all dressed up to show your Tennessee pride. It's gorgeous. And if you're not up to the task of winning a shooting competition yet, well, you should get some training done at the Glock store, and you should enter to win a Glock store customized Glock worth $1,700 while you're there if you're not up to the task of winning a shooting competition. I've seen that Glock on the rotating billboards around town. Gorgeous. And you only need to be there to enter, not to win. And did I mention Matt Murphy's going to be there. Dan Mandis is going to be there. I'm going to be there. That's June 1st, 10 to 2, 4th annual open house at the one and only Glock store, minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere, especially on June 1st.
Bellevue still cleaning up that crash 40 eastbound, and the right lane is blocked. Spring Hill stop and go traffic due to road work. Southbound 65 between 840 and Saturn Parkway. And then in Rutherford County, you got road work, right lane blocked, 840 southbound at Bill France Boulevard. UN General Assembly has voted on a Palestinian membership resolution. Target stores changing its approach to selling LGBTQ plus themed merchandise ahead of Pride Month. All this and more at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. Looking forward to what you got on Target. That's interesting.
It'll be on Target.
I bet it will be. It's 11:26 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I asked you a question. If an impeachment goes through on Biden, because Republicans are writing it up now, they're drafting it, right? If Republicans impeach Biden because he denied a weapons shipment to Israel, do we need to ask the question if Republicans care more about Biden betraying Israel than they do about Biden's betrayal of America? I think it's a serious question and conversation that we need to have, because when you look at the Biden administration, the failures that the Republicans could have impeached him on, I mean, what about the southern border? It has been an absolute dereliction of duty. I mentioned it yesterday, the southern border. it's completely controlled by the cartels. And there was an anonymous Border Patrol agent on News Nation who had to disguise his voice and hide his face because he's saying just that. The cartels are controlling the border.
The biggest thing is that we do not control the border. The cartel controls the border. Everything that we do is a reaction to things that they have planned. Usually we're chasing around pawns while the kings and queens are doing whatever they want.
And under Biden, they're finding new ways to crash the border. We have them coming via boat in San Diego constantly.
One of the other things we're seeing here in San Diego County is boat landings. Boats just being beached up on our beaches, and about 4 per week, or about a dozen people jump off a boat, run into a neighborhood, go.
People just jumping off the boat, running into a neighborhood. Why couldn't we impeach Joe Biden about the border? What about the Biden crime family and the foreign money and the family business, all the evidence that Congress has from the Biden family suspicious activity reports of wire transfers to the texts, the emails, the WhatsApp messages, the photos of Joe with Hunter's business partners, Joe Biden's voicemail to Hunter Biden, all the individuals referring to Biden as the big guy, the 2 whistleblower testimonies, the FBI FD 1023 form alleging recorded phone calls between Biden and Burisma executives, FBI informants alleging bribes, videos of Joe Biden bragging about firing the Ukrainian prosecutor, Hunter's statements about giving half of his income to his dad, ex-White House aides saying that the FBI ignored Biden's role in Ukraine business dealings, millions flowing into Biden family bank accounts, Hunter paying for Joe Biden's expenses. How come we didn't impeach over any of that? And we couldn't. We couldn't. But why couldn't we? What about Afghanistan and the botched withdrawal? That is still easily one of the darkest days of Joe Biden's presidency. They didn't impeach him over that. Yet, as soon as he delays weapons shipments to Israel, they're drafting articles of impeachment. Corey Mills is. Do Republicans care more, honestly, about Biden's betrayal of Israel than Biden's betrayal of America? Because for me, I care far more about the betrayal of America. 615-737-9986. Your call's next on Super Talk.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Right now in New York, the UN General Assembly just voted to support a Palestinian bid to become a full UN member. 143 votes in favor, 9 against, including the U.S. and Israel. 25 countries abstained. Now, it doesn't grant full membership, but recognizes Palestinian state as, or rather the Palestine as qualified to join. Midday Money News, Jim Ryan watching Wall Street.
The Dow Jones is up again today and may finish the week on an 8-day winning streak. Going into the midday, the industrials were 57 points higher. The S&P was slightly higher. The NASDAQ composite was slightly below its opening. Target will cut LGBTQ-themed merchandise from about half its U.S. stores during Pride Month in June after a customer backlash forced the retailer to get rid of those items, including some transgender swimsuits last year. Bloomberg says the products will still be available online.
That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
11:35 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. I asked you, do Republicans, if this impeachment goes through, right? Corey Mills announced yesterday that they're preparing articles of impeachment for Joe Biden over his decision to withhold aid to Israel for political reasons. And so I asked you, and I think we all need to ask this question, if this was to go through, do Republicans care more about Biden's betrayal of Israel than they do about Biden's betrayal of America? Because when I'm looking at the score, and I'm looking at the southern border, and I'm looking at the Afghanistan withdrawal, and I'm looking at the Biden family business dealings, could we have not done this a long time ago? So where has the Republicans been? And I asked you to call in, 615-737-9986. Dan in Franklin, you're up first. What do you think, man?
Hey, good morning.
How are you, sir?
Good. Hey, I just want to say that I'm going to talk on three things, and all of them have to do with what you've been talking about.
Perfect. Let's go.
Number one, the goal right now this year, the number one goal is to get Trump to win.
Yep.
That's the top thing. So you do whatever you can do to get him to win. One of the key groups that you need are independents. I think impeaching Biden with the mainstream media and what they're doing, they would make him look like a victim. And I think the way to go is to just back off and let the Democrats destroy one another, to call out one another on the border, which they've been doing in big cities like New York and Chicago and other places. They've also been going after Biden. You've seen it in places here and there. Let him look like an idiot. I wouldn't do anything else. I think we have principles. We have to stick to those principles. But number one is to get Trump in office, to do what we want him to do.
I agree with that.
Don't impeach Biden for anything. Let the Democrats kill each other. They're already doing it. And finally, I think something that's what's really happening is that, and I think Omar mentioned it yesterday or the day before regarding the shipment of weapons to Israel. Israel has everything that they need to go into Rafah. They don't need anything else. I think this whole thing is a head fake politically to make the college students think that they accomplished something. And I think that Biden gets on the phone with Bibi, or not even Biden, the people that are running the White House. They get on the phone with Bibi, and they say, hey, Bibi, we got to do this thing politically. You know, it's an election year. You know, you already have everything to go in. Don't worry about it. This is just something we got to do to get votes. And Bibi goes, okay, I get it, da-da-da-da-da. He goes forward with all these stuff that he already has. He doesn't need anything else. And then Biden tries to get the votes, but he continues to look like an idiot to most of the country. Independents, let them kill each other. Don't impeach, and just watch them destroy whatever they're going to destroy for a few more months, and then get Trump in.
Hey, I appreciate the call, Dan. Thanks so much. Let's go to Bill in Nashville. Bill, if the Republicans impeach over the decision to withhold aid to Israel, does that mean that Republicans care more about the betrayal of Joe Biden to Israel than they care about the betrayal of Joe Biden to America?
Well, of course it does. Now, we all know that you have a vast staff there at 99.7. Now, if you put them on task to look at the GOP representatives and expose names and amount of money that's been contributed to their campaign coffers by AIPAC, you'll see why there's so much more allegiance to a foreign country than to this country. Now, questioning Israel shouldn't be, as it is unfortunately today, considered automatically anti-Semitic. Questioning Israel's policies is nothing more than recognizing what our reality is, because AIPAC has a hand on every stinking bill that goes through Congress. So it's foreign influence, and it shouldn't be, and it should be exposed. And those congressional representatives should be named that have to answer for the amount of money that they are drawing in from a foreign country.
Well, and we saw just last week, our congressional Republicans were willing to throw away the First Amendment for Israel, which was a shocker.
Yeah, like I said, start exposing if you choose to start exposing names and funding, you'll be canceled. That's just part of it. You'll be legend for a very short time, but you'll be canceled.
Yeah,
but it should be exposed. It should be.
It's an interesting topic. I appreciate the call, Bill. Let's go to Danny in Lebanon. You're next on Super Talk. What's up, Danny?
Hey, good morning, Chris.
How we doing, sir?
Well, after the last two callers, I really don't have much intelligence to say because they kind of nailed it. Dan from Franklin, he was on target. But what I would say, though, is the Republicans, even if Congress did pass to impeach Joe Biden, it would never make it past the Senate. And even if it did, do we really want Kamala Harris to take over the reins? I mean, seriously?
Well,
I mean, leave him alone where it is.
But I mean, I think it's important to point out that
just happens to be a woman.
So
yeah, right.
Appreciate the call, man.
I get it.
Let's go to Sherry in Columbia. You're next on Super Talk. What's up, Sherry?
Hey, so I was listening in on everybody's opinion, and I think even though the strategy that the gentlemen have talked about is a good one, the other part of your question is why did the Republicans choose this, like denying the weapons to Israel, instead of every other thing that they have done to diminish our country, to have it overrun by criminals?
Yep.
Why aren't they standing up now?
Yeah, where have they been? Where have they been?
Right. Look at how many rhinos that we have in the Republican Party. Those people have no allegiance to America. They have no allegiance to the Republican Party and what they stand for. So they need to check out themselves, check out their own values, and stand up and honor our Constitution that the Democrats have tried to slash, dash, and make fun of, and lead our people the way that we should be led. And that is, we are the American people. Do this to us because you think that you can. You have more money and more people investing in you than anybody else. But at the end of the day, they are a bunch of basically criminals.
Hey, I appreciate your call, Sherry. Thanks so much. Let's go to Paul. You're next on Super Talk. What's up, Paul?
Hey, Chris.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. And I'll tell you why they didn't go after border, why they didn't go after Biden for selling the influence, and why they're going to choose to go for Biden. They're going to put the Democrats on the spot.
Okay.
You impeached Trump for this. So now you either got to convict Joe Biden or admit that you politically went after Donald Trump.
Okay, well that makes a little bit more sense to me than a lot of the other callers, and I could kind of get the logic behind that.
You know, because and irregardless, it makes no difference. They can impeach him in the House, but the Senate will find him not guilty because it's controlled by the Democrats.
Yep.
But by doing the impeachment on this is exactly what they went after Trump for. So you either now will impeach Joe Biden or you will openly admit it was a hack job. We were trying to politically take down an opponent.
Hey, that's a heck of a take, Paul, and I appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. Thanks, Chris.
Hey, have a good one, buddy. Brent in Spring Hill, what do you think, man?
I think that it's important that we impeach him on the grifting and the influence peddling going into the election to highlight that to the American people and show how corrupt this man is.
But it doesn't seem like that moves the needle for congressional Republicans.
It doesn't, and that's what's crazy.
It blows my mind.
It makes you wonder. It makes you wonder who maybe they don't want everybody to know everybody's on the grift.
Maybe. Hey, I appreciate your call, Brent. Let's go to John in Nashville. You're next on Super Talk. What's up, John?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. I was listening to some of the previous callers. One thing I wanted to touch on is what the previous caller just said about they're all corrupt. At the end of the day, bottom line, Republicans and Democrats, and this impeachment game has just become a scam. They need to get down to taking care of business. We give Israel $38 billion a year. They have state-funded abortion, health care, and education. But we don't have those things here. I mean, the hypocrisy in Washington, D.C. has got to stop.
Yep.
Across the board.
I'm with you, John.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Hey, I appreciate your call, man. Thanks so much.
Yes, sir.
All right, we got time for one more. Let's go to Robert. You're next on Super Talk. What's up, Robert?
Hey, man, not much. Just enjoying this beautiful day. But, the border is where it's all about. But I just have one thing that I wanted to ask you is, did you hear that they had to discontinue Captain Kirk's underwear line?
No, I did not hear that.
Come to find out, Shatner Panties wasn't a good name after all. How about that?
Appreciate the call, Rob. Thanks so much, man. It's 11:47 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, tomorrow, Murphy and we're going to be hanging out, and we want you to join us. Iroquois Steeplechase. It's going to be awesome. You can get your tickets to the VIP tent, all-inclusive. Food from Famous Dave's, drinks from Jack Daniels, and more at 997WTN.com. When Murphy comes in here, I am going to talk about a topic that not many people know about. Botanical sexism. And I'm going to get Murphy's thoughts on this. Because I think, out of all the guys at WTN, I think botanical sexism has affected him the most. Honestly, would you agree with me, Mac?
Easily. I mean, the anecdotal evidence is just screaming.
The anecdotal evidence we can't ignore. So we're going to talk about botanical sexism with Murphy next. Hang out with us. It's 11:48 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 11:54 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, joined in studio by Matt Murphy. Matt, I don't know if you know this.
All right.
But you, my friend,
hello,
are a victim.
Hello. What?
You're a victim.
I'm a victim?
I
want to be a victim.
Of botanical sexism.
Botanical sexism.
Botanical sexism. So
I was in a band in college.
Was it named
called Botanical Sexism?
Was it?
No, that's not.
What did you play? You played bass?
That's not true. I was in a band called Monkey Butt, but that's a different deal altogether.
You play instruments?
I played the toilet brush on the bongos.
Nice.
Thank you.
All right, so you've been complaining about your allergies.
I have, and they're still wrecking me.
This is because of botanical sexism.
I'm not familiar with
Okay.
Botanical sexism.
So, botanical sexism is a term that describes the preferential planting of cloned male plants in urban areas because they don't produce fruits and flowers that litter the landscape. So,
bros before hoes.
Yeah, exactly. So, like decades ago.
Sorry, family show.
Well, it's a gardening tool.
That's exactly. Hey.
So. These guys were making these neighborhoods in these urban areas, and they said, we can't have the fruit littering the streets. So what we're going to do is we're only going to plant male trees. And what that did is there's no female trees to absorb the pollen any longer. So in urban areas, you're getting higher concentration of pollen because of all these dude trees.
The stamen and the... This is truth, and I would not tell you anything other than truth. The only reason that I know that there are male versions of plants and female versions of plants is because of marijuana. Well, so you're saying they only plant the males because the females are the plants that bear fruit?
Yes. You know they could have avoided this.
And the pollen is just out there.
If they just planted only female trees, we wouldn't have any pollen or any fruit. And that, my friend, is botanical sexism. That's why your allergies are at a all-time high and why they've gotten way worse over the years.
It's the women's fault.
I think, yeah.
I think there's a lot of blame to go around here. I mean, so there's not enough chicks.
Mm-hmm.
There's too many guys. You know, this is a common problem at nightclubs.
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I'm saying? All these dudes on the dance floor, and there's no women on the dance floor, and dudes are bumping into one another. It's not, yeah. What are you doing, bro? Get out of here.
The pollen count is way too high in here.
I'm actually trying to decide if I believe in this theory or not.
It's been around since the early 2000s. This theory predates me.
As the urban areas become more prominent, more people live in the urban areas, the central planning.
Yep.
They only plant the male trees.
Yep.
I mean,
biological sexism is used in the Ogren Plant Allergy Scale, OPALS, if you will.
Sure.
And that's been adopted by the United States Department of Agriculture.
So the answer is to plant more female trees or only female trees, I suppose?
I think the answer would be only female trees.
Well, what about the poor guys in there?
Send them to the woods.
Look, I'm all about fewer men, fewer males in any given circumstance.
Bingo.
Toxic masculinity for these Bradford pears, whatever.
Stinky trees.
I just felt like I wanted to give you something else.
Well, thank you. It's another thing to worry about.
And just be. I'm going
to do a survey around my neighborhood.
You should.
Walk around. Lift up the little tree skirts. See what's going on down there.
Do you know how to tell?
I don't know. I don't know.
7967 on the Members Nutrition Super Text line says, are we 100% sure that trees identify as male? And then says, I understand if you want to leave that one alone.
Hey-oh! I like that. No, there's a lot of branches to this subject, so we could flesh this one out.
I'm going to see you tomorrow.
Yeah, we will see each other tomorrow. Steeplechase.
Me and Murphy are going to
bring your mud boots.
We're going to be the tag team champions of the steeplechase tomorrow.
I've done it twice. This is my third opportunity. First time for you?
I'm a first timer.
Bring your mud boots. Mac Morey, you going to be there? No? Okay. Well, tell him to bring his mud boots.
Don't worry. We're going to have a good time.
Bring your Connect 4 game, too.
Mac is watching underwater hockey tomorrow.
Good for him.
It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.